Welcome back. So from politics, let's, transit into another conversation just as important, talking about visionary leadership and, of course, where women are concerned. We're going into the tech space now, and our guest this morning is Olajumoke Toriola. She's the Chief Technology Officer, Hashem Limited, co-founder, Textilers, Microsoft Regional Director, Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, and hosts C-Suite Corner with MJ, and founder, Nigeria M365 Community. She joins us virtually from the United Kingdom. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And so in Nigeria, we'll say all of that, only you. So walk us through your journey, how you got all these feathers on your cap.
Well, thank you so much once again for having me. I mean, I'll say it's quite a journey, as you said. It's been a very interesting, challenging, but I'll say very rewarding journey. I think my initial plan was to become a medical doctor. I actually wanted to go in for medicine. I think, but during that period, there was some sort of all this catchment area, and then when you do your jam and all of that, you did not get up to the cut-off mark. I think the cut-off mark then was 235, and I had 232. And then, it being my state of origin, Ogun State, I was like, why wouldn't they accept me? And then I saw one of my classmates that was there, and then she got admitted into the same for medicine, and then with a lower grade, just because she's from these educational disadvantaged states. So I was kind of just angry, and I just left, and I just went to, and then I found myself in Japa Tech reading electrical engineering, and that's where I started my journey. I think that was where I started my journey into tech, because that was a STEM-related course I was reading, electrical engineering. And then when I finished that, I transitioned straight to app tech. I mean, to have the advanced network engineering and diploma and all of that. And then immediately I finished, I started working, just moving into Hashem. And I've been in Hashem ever since then. I started as a trainee. So when people see, I like this part of the question you asked me, that how did I transition to my journey, all of that. When people hear, oh, maybe you're a chief technology officer, you got into that peak of your career, they all think you just land there. So there's always a process. For me, I started even as a trainee. And then from a training transition to a team lead, from a team lead to a manager, and then here I am as a chief technology officer of Hashem. And one of the things that I've learned throughout my life growing up is actually to give back to the community, which is one of the reasons why some of this outreach you mentioned, like the textilers, like the Nigerian M365 community and all of that, was started. And then starting all of this journey was what made that was what gave me the recognition. I mean, the recognition from all of these industry leaders like Microsoft and then the rest, just to acknowledge that you have played a significant role in propagating the knowledge of the technology to the community around you. And then this is how the Microsoft Most Valuable Professional Microsoft Regional Director came about.
And that's beautiful to hear your story, and that's what we're all about on Innovate Her Breakfast right here on the Morning Brief. We spotlight women who are doing great stuff, innovative things in the tech system, or the tech ecosystem as it is called. I mean, looking through your profile, yes, it is just amazing to see. For some, it might be intimidating, which is good, right? So other women can see that I can do it if she can do it. But I want to speak to the point around, giving back to the community or to the society. I know that part of your work at your company is software development. You're also an independent software vendor. If I'm correct, working with Microsoft and others. And it's always been said that technology is expensive. It's not just said, that's evidential, it's what it is, right? So you have all these companies investing millions, billions of dollars into software and all of that. So naturally, when they want to sell it, they have to sell it at a reasonable price so they can recoup. Then you bring that to our context as a nation, right? And you have a lot of people opting for pirated software instead. I mean, you know these things. So how were you able to surmount that challenge, seeing the economic reality of Nigeria and the fact that we need these softwares, right, at least to measure up to the world? So how were you able to surmount that challenge of the economic context and the obvious cost of these softwares, which sometimes are beyond reach?
All right, thank you, Kayode, for that question. And I think for us in Ashem, what we've tried to do in our company is to ensure that we match all our delivery with excellence, which is quite very important. Now, people will pay for value even when the odds are there around the challenges of the economy and all of that. Sometimes we have to also do some sort of a mix and match, because when you see the customer and you look at the customer's portfolio, and then you do an assessment of their profile to see if they can afford or they cannot afford. So you do like a mix of match. You have to step down at one point. You have to stay put at where you are. I mean, at the cost you're trying to deliver the service. But most importantly, what we have seen and we've done very well is that our value speaks for itself. And because value speaks for itself, people tend to pay for value even when it may be a little bit expensive, but people pay for value. And so what we have done is to strategically do a sort of profiling for our customers. We look at our customers' portfolio and we say, oh, if this customer can afford this, even though this is what is obtainable ordinarily we should get from the market, we'll do a little bit of step down. And if we feel that, okay, this customer can actually go for it, we do that also, and then just get from the customer. So most importantly is to be flexible around the markets, and that's what we've been doing based on the economic situation of the country.
But are we able to, as a nation, be, I don't want to say self-sufficient, because nobody should really be self-sufficient. It's a global village. We should rely on each other. But how much of sufficiency have we been able to build as a nation, such that we're able to develop some of the softwares in-house? We have talents in-house that have not jackpot, that are, ensuring that as a nation, we can at least stand on our own and say, these ones, oh, we have it on lockdown. So if they flip the switch anywhere, either in California or in China, we're still at least safe.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we've done in Ashem is that we've done around the Japa syndrome, really. Because, we can't deny the fact that the Japa syndrome is everywhere. But you see, when your staff is existing your company, it is not a moment for when you, how will I put it, fight them. If for lack of better word, but I'll use that word, fight them. I think it is a period for you to rather establish a long-lasting relationship with them. So if they leave the company, one of the things that we've done is to weigh our options. Initially when the Japa syndrome started, it affected us also, just like it affected every other company. And then we're like, how are we going to cope? Because the staff turnaround right now is quite very high, and all of those situations. But what I do most of the time is to put my cards on the table and then look at what are my adaptability options in this case, and then try to establish a relationship with the same people that have left the country, and then we can continue to still reuse the talents that they have. So why some of them leave Nigeria, we look at, oh, where are you going? So if you're going to a particular country that is, the time zone is favorable for us, we still use them as consultants for ourselves. So we use them as consultants for ourselves. And most importantly is that we have a mentorship program that runs like every 2 years, like on a yearly basis, to be honest. So we recruit graduates, and then we have this training and mentorship cycle that goes around. So we're able to reproduce talents So as those set of people are leaving the country, we are making sure that the next set of people are actually can take over from them. And where there is a little bit of that, probably maybe they can't move up to the speed immediately. We ensure that we retain those set of people in a consultancy role, which means they're still working for us, and then we can now strike a balance around the time zone. So I mean, that's the workaround for us in the Japa syndrome situation.
Let's talk about how you feel that government should approach this. I like the way you look at it. More like, okay, I can't stop you from moving, but what can I do in terms of leverage? So what can government at the policy level do in terms of leverage for some of these talents? I know that somebody was saying this Japa thing we've talked about, say in the last 5 years, perhaps maybe about 1 million or 2 million. If that ratio is put side by side, juxtapose it with our population, is technically insignificant or marginally just there. But these are human resources in that sense that we are losing in terms of brain drain. But if there's nothing we can do because we're not fixing our country to make them stay, what can government do beyond some of the policy direction that sometimes speculate? I remember we've talked about some nursing people here who were talking about some policies, I think of the federal government or so, that implicitly tries to restrict them in that sense from moving, not expressly. So what can government do to leverage? Because China, for instance, at some point looked at themselves and said, if we want to open up this communist economy, besides all this free trade zone area, let's front load this talent and look at the results today. They are quietly ahead of America. America is just confused on how to approach China. What do you think should be done from the policy level of government?
Okay, so from the government perspective, to be honest, I mean I've had this discussion a lot of times with people, and then what is very important we should notice that people are meant to live the way God created us. We're not supposed to stay in one place, so people are meant to live, and it's sad that a lot of people are leaving Nigeria just because of the economic situation of Nigeria, and probably maybe because the environment is not conducive enough for growth. It's quite very disturbing. If people are leaving just because maybe they're going for vacation, that's understandable. But when you have a situation of brain drain and a lot of your skilled people leaving the country, especially in the technological aspects, the technology-wise, leaving your country just because they want a better life, then it calls for a serious deliberation that the government should actually look into. And if I were to propose, I'm not going to say that they're going to bring up like a policy to say, oh, people have to stay behind. If people are staying behind, is there an enabling environment to thrive or to grow while they're staying behind? So I'm not going to canvass for, oh, put up a policy and restrict people from going outside the country, because that is a counter effort even to the real solution. I think the real solution is allowing the environment to be conducive for people, that they can be able to grow, to do their business and all of that. Now, with that being said, another thing that they can do is from the technology. So when you speak of China, if you look at the way China grew its economy and then they grow their technology space, they start even from the primary, from the kindergarten stage. That's one thing Nigeria has not achieved. If you give a phone to a 2-year, you will be surprised of what they can do with it. So immediately, I think the policy we should start doing is to see how we infuse technology at the early stage in the primary or in the secondary schools. People don't need to wait, because that's what we have. Even our graduates today, when they come out, they're not job ready, because technology-wise, the gap is quite very wide. So you find that they are not job ready because, okay, what technology are you, what skills do you have? Those are things that they need to really correct. But what is important is, let's see how even from the secondary, from the primary school, people can the policy that we encourage technology to be infused immediately, where you have competitions among younger fellows that can build or solve problems. You'll be surprised with what they can do. I'll just want to touch on something that we do in Ashen. We run this boot camp for children, and then people, it's not just in Nigeria. We have people joining from outside the country. And then one of the things we do also is that we go as far as saying maybe go to the secondary schools or the primary schools, to those schools that are less privileged, to pick the less privileged. And you'll find out, surprisingly, that the less privileged children doing fantastically well. You will be surprised at the amazing things they can build around robotic technology, around the things, even in UI, US, low code, all of those things. You'll be surprised. So if we see a policies that that can encourage this, we'll find out that even when people are leaving, it may not really be a lot of issues, because we can actually make use of people in the secondary school or in the university to actually solve our own problem. So those are some of the things we need to look at. Because if you look at the situation right now, and in the educational system, they're telling students to stay home or to say, oh, probably maybe until you are a certain age. Those are counter effort even to the growth. So you see policies that should have been made to say encourage the the knowledge that is transferred at a younger age to those children. You're seeing policies that are coming up that are counter-productive to all of the situations that would have helped us to solve our problems. So I feel that the policy should rather be infuse technology. And I mean infuse technology, not just the basic technology. When I was in school, till I finished my school, the computer, I was staring at the computer. I never touched my computer.
So I'd like you to, from this point, help government with a more vivid description of what the policies would be if you described what your challenges are in building these innovation hubs for these children in these boot camps. What are the challenges encountered in achieving a vibrant ecosystem by tech experts? And while you are, describing that, more often than not, when we talk with resource persons on this segment, they talk about, oh, I'm the only one in the room, and there's a need for more women, to get into the tech space. What are the things that you find that, limit the participation of more women in the tech space?
Okay, so back to the first question of saying what are the ways that we can. Now, like I said, first thing, let us see how we can encourage a situation where we have some form of hackathons introduced even to the secondary schools. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about public schools. Let's see tools that are introduced to those public schools in terms of laptops for them. We can leverage on organizations to donate, all of the maybe the banks or any of them to donate, the OEMs to donate, and see those children. The curriculum, the first thing is that our curriculum needs to change. Our curriculum just doesn't have to be those basic computers that just say, oh, what is a computer? Let people be able to interact with the computer itself. Let these children be able to interact with it and then work on it. And then secondly, the teachers that are teaching them, I think they need a lot of orientation. They need a lot of training themselves, our public teachers, because you can only pass what you have. So our teachers need to be really trained on the technology. The technology is moving. We have the era of AI. We have the destructive, all of the destructive features of AI coming up right now. A lot of us are still behind in Nigeria. We don't even know. So teachers need to be trained. They need those orientation. They can pass it over, and then the tools need to be provided. And then, so we can now start encouraging a sort of hackathon or competitions between primary schools to secondary schools and all of that. And not just any kind of hackathons, we're looking at problem-specific solutions that children can come up with. They start thinking from the early stage to say, oh, this is the problem we have in my own community. What are the things I can use to solve it? And then they come up with ideas, and then people are guided. So you can make use of the tech community that are around to support all of these initiatives. I mean, that's one of the things that I would suggest that the government do. And then in terms of changing the narrative for the children. Then when you talk about, so the other question of when you have women in the room alone and they're probably maybe you are the only one in the room, some of the barriers or some of the challenges that women face being sometimes, to be honest, I'll tell you that a lot of times I've had issues with this conversation that people will tell you that even if you put 10 people in the room and 7 are men and 3 are women, and then you finish training them and then you ask them to come back, you find that if 5 people are coming back, maybe just 1 woman will be among those 5 people. So sometimes the argument has always been there's always been that equal opportunity, but women don't take advantage of it. And I think there are a lot of reasons why you have that. Well, we can talk about from the home front. You can talk about even situations for probably maybe the lack of confidence, because sometimes, let me be honest, women struggle with that self-value and self-confidence a lot.
All right. Thank you so much. Your recommendations are exciting, and your experience is much needed back home. So we hope that we can get you back. We've been talking with Olajumoke Toriola. She's the Chief Technology Officer, Hashem Limited, co-founder, Textiles, Microsoft Regional Director, among so many other things. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, from here, we'll be moving to another ecosystem. This time, it's the weather. We'll take a break, and then we'll be right back. Stay with us.